Rogues, often mistakenly called a good damage dealer. But even when people realize their damage sucks, here's the proof. The next excuse they come up with is they are skill monkeys. Now you might be wondering, what does that mean? Does this make up for their poor damage? Are they actually skill monkeys? Let's find out. Welcome to Pack Tactics. My cooking level in RuneScape is 99. Nice! So what is a skill monkey? In 5e, I usually see it described as being good at a lot of skills for the purposes of out-of-combat scenarios. Is this the case for Rogue? Well, let's check how they actually differ from other classes. At level 1, most classes get to pick 2 skills to get proficiency in. Some get 3, but rogues get 4. However, with the way the game works, it's not like people will be missing out on these skill proficiencies. You can get them through race, class, subclass, and even background. And background is basically a free space due to how customizing your background works. The main utility of a rogue is their ability to be the best at a skill, because if they aren't the best, you might as well have someone else roll for you. So rogue gets 2 more skill proficiencies, which isn't like a lot. And for the most part, it isn't beneficial to your party. How do you get better at a skill than other people? It's expertise. Expertise basically means you double your proficiency bonus for the skills you pick, and you pick 2 at level 1. Between level 1 and 4, this means they get +2 to 2 skills. At level 5, this changes to 3. Between level 6 and 8, they instead get +3 to 4 skills. We're almost halfway through the game now. Do you know how often this matters? A +2 bonus matters only 1 out of 10 times. The other 9 out of 10 checks doesn't do anything. A +3 bonus doesn't matter 85% of the time. That sucks. Every time your proficiency bonus increases by 1, it will matter a little bit more. But this takes a long time. By the way, this video is sponsored by World Anvil, where you can create fantastic worlds full of fun adventures with ease. If you're a creative type like an artist or writer or DM, then this is the perfect tool for you. It's insanely powerful. The interface itself gives you a lot of ideas to work with, and it's incredibly organized for you and your readers or players. It's not like a messy Google Doc. It also has great guides on how to optimize the visuals or writing in general. And there's a passionate community dedicated to storytelling you can learn from. And hey, maybe you can optimize with them to create worlds greater than Middle-earth. You can also create interactive maps that work like Google Maps, which is insanely fun. I've never played in a D&D game with something like this before. I would actually kill for a game like this. I highly recommend checking out World Anvil. What they're doing over there is magic to me. Use the code PACK at the checkout and you'll get a 40% off any yearly subscription. Back to the video. At level 11, Rogue gets access to reliable talent. It says whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus, you can treat a d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. For this to do something, 1, you need to roll below a 10. That's a 45% chance normally. If you get advantage because somebody is helping you, for example, that's 20.25%. 2. The die result you get below 10 would fail. The bigger the benefit of expertise, the more often this is not the case. Rolling an 8 in something you have expertise would, for example, result in a total of 18 if you have a +2 to the appropriate ability score. So let's say this adds about 10 to 20% more cases where being a rogue does something for the purposes of rolling a check. Now that we've talked about how well rogues perform compared to others when needing to make ability checks, let's talk about how useful those benefits really are. First of all, if a DC is difficult, but not so difficult that you need expertise to make it, which is most of the time, then the multiple ability checks might be applicable. Here's what it says. Sometimes a character fails an ability check and wants to try again. In some cases, a character is free to do so. The only real cost is the time it takes. With enough attempts and enough time, a character should eventually succeed at the task. To speed things up, assume that a character spending 10 times the normal amount of time needed to complete a task automatically succeeds at the task. However, no amount of repeating the check allows a character to turn an impossible task into a successful one. If something would normally cost an action, it now costs 10 actions. That's a minute. Even if there are time-sensitive matters, the difference will likely not matter. And that is assuming there are time-sensitive matters. In many situations, this is basically free. If you fail them, it's not going to kill you or your party. It might not even hurt you. Under this rule, most lockpicking can also be done by taking more time. Thieves' tools breaking is a house rule. And getting proficiency in them is not an exclusive feature for rogues. Anyone can get them through background proficiencies. And that's not even accounting for the options of just destroying things with a cantrip like Firebolt, or just using a hammer. There's many viable options here. I've even seen someone use Shape Water to freeze the lock and then break it. They got an inspiration for doing it for creativity. Don't get me wrong, creativity should be rewarded, absolutely. But usually those creative rewards goes to casters. I think that's kind of unfair, but that's what happens when you have more utility. I mean, spellcasting in general just gives you more utility. I'll give you many examples. Find Familiar is better at scouting than a rogue. Because, well, if your Find Familiar's a bird or like a rat, that's easier to get away with. Even if it gets caught and it dies, who cares? If a rogue is caught alone and it dies, that's devastating. Unseen Servant can trigger traps. Detect Magic can detect magic. I've already mentioned Firebolt, there's Shape Water, I talked about that too. Minor Illusion, you can crouch and become like a box. That's really good hiding. I've been in games where they just boosted Minor Illusion because they didn't know the rules for Minor Illusion to begin with. Like the box example, every time I've set up that box, I've never done a stealth check. It's just been an automatic success. The DM doesn't want me to roll. And then most importantly, there's the scrolls. If you have tons of scrolls of just utility spells, you're way better than a rogue. Normally a rogue can't use these scrolls. I mean, sure, there is Arcane Trickster and Thief Rogue at higher levels, but that's not a lot. We can go on and on and on, you get the point. And it looks like 1D&D is not going to change that. When I said Rogue is starved of options, I really meant it. They are starved of options. The only subclass that gives you a lot of options is Arcane Trickster because it gives you a spellcasting feature. And as you progress in this subclass, it feels like you're getting things more often than the other ones. Like for example, more spells known or second level spell slots. You get that as 7th level. And a lot of them just adds to your utility kits. The other subclasses have to wait till level 9 to get new features. Are you kidding me? Anyways, let's get back to the script. Generally, skills are super limited in power in Dungeons and Dragons. That's always been the case from what I know. Anyways, Tabletop Builds has an article with a star rating for each skill. I'll link that below. And even in the limited number of cases where skills are useful and there is a time pressure, a rogue only really does something in about 1 out of 3 checks after 2 tiers of content. That really needs to sink in if you care about the health of the rogue in 1D&D. Anyways, I'm getting sleepy. End of video. If you like this video, then I hope I earned your subscription and maybe your support on Patreon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!